Well, I saw a little film called Apartment 143. Original title, Emergo, I believe, which I think that refers to sort of like an effigy of a skeleton or an actual skeleton, or like for a haunted house or a Halloween decoration of a skeleton hanging from a string or what have you, something of that nature. I think it originated with it was a Vincent Price movie. Anyway, I'm not clear on the history of it. I'm not entirely certain why they changed it to Apartment 143, but it probably has something to do with the fact that the entirety, or most of the story, takes place in Apartment 143. So what are the odds? It might have been that. But ultimately, it's a found footage film about this family that suffered a terrible tragedy and are now being pestered by some supernatural force, ghost, what have you. So basically, the tragedy is the mother of the two kids that this man has died. And now, certainly the young boy believes that the mother's ghost is haunting them. And they had all these weird events at the house, and so they moved into this apartment, and for a while everything calmed down, and then it started up again, things moving, noises, all that sort of stuff. And the guy, the father is starting to lose it. His daughter is quite the snotty little biatch, and harbors ill will towards him for the death of her mother, which sets up certain narratives here that, did he have something to do with the death of his wife and that sort of thing? And then, the daughter insinuates that the father's creepy towards her and all this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, the boy, they kind of forget about him in the story for the most part, but he seemed to acknowledge that he has seen his mother in the home, The rest of the cast is made up of these paranormal investigators that this father reached out to, and they come to see what they can prove and analyze what's going on and offer whatever help they possibly can to them. And they're going to document the whole thing, on film, which hints the found footage. And so they got this rather stoic, cold, hard-ass professor that's the leader of the group. this woman and a sound guy, I guess. There's a brief interest between them two, but I don't know. It's almost as if it's like a pilot for a series or something. It could have been, I guess. But for the most part, some of the scenes and whatnot are fine. It leans more in, the investigator, he concludes that there's a scientific explanation for this, a parascience, not exactly accepted in the science community, but he believes ultimately it comes down to the actual origins of poltergeist. Now, always this seems to center around typically, young teenagers, especially get on in the midst of puberty and all that sort of thing. And certainly in this case, he believes the focus is the girl and the trauma she suffered for the death of her mother. And then now she's experiencing puberty and all that. And that the anguish or frustrations and whatnot can manifest into telekinesis and whatnot. I don't know. But in this case, it would also have to be the projection of a ghost. So this is what the guy sticks to. And of course, with all these horror movies, it's not going to be the scientific explanation. There was a presence, whether it's the ghost of the mother or not. It's some crazy looking woman. But you see her briefly in the film twice. And they capture this. There are different weird means by which to photograph things and all that. It's part of their investigation. But full on, they capture her in the living room. They capture her image kind of in a negative form. in the girls' room and stuff like that. And of course, the professor saw all of this, so I guess you have to conclude that he believes, well, that's just the girl projecting this because of her, psychosis that she's enduring, and then that's his conclusion. And he interrogates the father. He breaks down and tells the whole story of what happened. His wife was she was schizophrenic. She had medication that took care of it, but one day she decided she didn't want to do that, and she started sleeping around and all this type of stuff and getting nuttier and nuttier. And at one moment, the guy's had enough. He takes the kids and leaves. And then apparently she hopped in a car, I get perhaps looking for them, what have you, and got in a car wreck and died that way. So he didn't kill her or anything like that. He insinuates that, but he breaks down. But still, the daughter harbors some amount of thought that somehow it's daddy's fault and that sort of thing. And then the big climax of all kind of paranormal powers and whatnot, and the girl appears to be possessed, and all this sort of stuff goes on, and ultimately they calm her down, I guess. Oh, then everything's fine. But then, that's the professor's conclusion, that's essentially what this was. And as they leave, surprise, the ghost appears. There's one camera left as they leave the apartment. And then, surprise, the ghost appears, climbing on the ceiling like Spider-Man, and charges toward the camera, and that's the end. Well, of course, is like whatever the professor was shooting for, that wasn't it. It's still as fantastic almost, that the idea that some kid can be all sad and depressed and anguished enough to where this projects out of her and manifests as the ghost of her mother and all kinds of telekinetic power and all that. And it's easier to say it's just the ghost, and she's attached to them and she can't leave them and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. But, there's other found footage movies of similar subject matter do it much better. I can't say this is awful. For the most part, its premise, they stick pretty close to it. It pretty much follows the rule of there's an explanation as to why the camera keeps rolling. That's what they were there to do. That's their, they get the footage as much as possible and all that. There's some things where they cut to a scene where I keep calling him the sound guy, but I guess he was just another cameraman with the woman. I can't remember, on the team. But all of a sudden, he's like on a bus and traveling around, and then he comes back to the house. I don't know what that was about. But all in all, it's okay. It's not one of the best ones. And oddly enough, at the end, when they reveal the ghost is still in the apartment and crawling on the ceiling, I suddenly realized, oh, I've seen this one before. I just recently didn't realize I was rewatching it. And so, so I forgot it. So, didn't have that big of an impact, but, I've seen really awful movies and badly made and stuff, but in the found footage genre, a lot of really bad ones. I can't say that this is one of those. It's just, it's all right. That's the best I could do for it. And I don't know if there was anything serious in thinking, hey, maybe we could do a follow-up or something else with that team investigating stuff. But I don't know if there's any real thought to that or not, but you could if you wanted to, but I don't know if there was huge interest in it or not. But anyway, if you're really into the genre, it's, and you're just looking for one you haven't seen yet, I don't think you'll be upset. Like, well, I wasted time on this. But on the other hand, it's not one of the good ones, you know. But so there you go. Apartment 143 or Emergo.